We're back. So from there, oh wait, wrong way. We took the map he gave us of Minecraft and decided to see where that was on the map. Here's his house where the red dot was, we know that. And then the ship is down in this area, correct, Nolan?
Yeah.
And so then we came up the river and you saw on his map where the settlements of the freeburgers were roughly around this area, so that's where we decided to build. From there we took and decided to get dimensions of the different things we were going to have to build. So just a little bit of trickery. I've lost my mouse. There it is. We took and figured out, we found an original Cape Dutch colony house.
Oh, wow.
And got the dimensions off of it. So it was roughly a 3,500 square foot house, and that's what I was looking to build. And so I took and found that it had floor plans by square footage, and did that, and calculated every square foot to see what the house actually looked like. And for each floor, it's roughly laid out that way. I'll now show you in Minecraft how it's laid out. But and then also we before we did that, we also figured out what the rough size of a farm where we were was. And so we built roughly a 2-acre farm. It's actually closer to 1.9. But this is our farm right here. So
Ignore the beacons right now.
yeah, we're gonna turn those off. It's just easier to light it that way. So you can go ahead and tell them the layout and everything. What you built.
So we didn't know how really to lay it out because a lot of different farms had different layouts, but we found out that the main house would be separated from like the slave quarters and the gardens. And then this is our barn right here, and that's what's called a jonker house, which Jordan built.
Yes, the Jonker house is translates to young man's house. It's actually the house of the farm manager's eldest son, and you see the architecture, it's accentuated by triangular pediments. And another interesting aspect about the Cape Dutch architecture is one distinguishing characteristic of it as gables, which are like at the edges of the roof where the roof meets like the actual structure of the house. And Jimmy did a magnificent job with the main house. I did a less magnificent job with ones on this, but that's why I had the quartz outlining up by the roof. But and this is just a peek at the inside of what it would look like, and Jimmy added some really nice features inside to it.
That's like,
But yeah, this would be the house of the farm manager's eldest son. And I used for the structure of it, there was a document that you gave us that had like a layout of pictures of like different, it's basically a map of different structures that were on the farm, and I used that one to.
and then this is the barn with horses.
Yeah, this is where they would store all their hay and everything. There would also be more grains and different fruits they'd have in here from the harvest and everything, so that they wouldn't go bad. We just kind of want to build a rough example of what they looked like, what tamed horses looked like. You can ride these if you wanted. Just depends on if you've got a saddle. That's our barn, and then I'll take you to our main house. We're going to give you a tour of it, and then Allison can show you what our slave quarters and our fields
Jimmy.
look like.
Real quickly, could you show the class what a gable is?
Yeah. The main part of a gable, if you've ever heard of Salem witch trials, is the house 7 gables. But a gable is these points. Each house, that's what they were known for back then. They would have a certain number usually on most houses, and we had a little trouble with that just on the design I put in. But the main part is just to accentuate the peaks of a house is what a gable is. It would overlap some to come out, but that's the main look of it. So, and then that's one of the main features of it, and then just kind of the layout. They were known to have quite a big space, so we'll go on the front door, I guess. Let's do that. We've got this house had many doors to it, but, and also don't try and light the fireplace for me. It'll burn down the house. I figured that out the hard way. So, but here's your main living quarters. There's supposed to be a bed there. But that's the main room, and then the house just kind of goes from there.
Really neat.
So,
Now, in terms of your crops, how'd you know what to grow?
Allison actually did most of the research on that. So you can tell me.
The crops, the main purpose for the freeburgers was so that they could provide the ships coming in with crops. So we're growing potatoes, melons. We have 2 vineyards. Okay, these are our vineyard fields, which they look a little weird, but that's because vines won't grow on fences in Minecraft. I don't know. And then that's our melon field right here. We have wheat and potatoes, which if you land on them, you harvest them.
Yeah, don't stay out of the potato field for me. You will get something to eat if you land on it, so it will actually feed you.
And then this is a big apple orchard back here, which, like we said, we can't really have apple trees, so we just labeled it apple orchard. And then these are our 3 slave quarters, which are purposefully far away from the house, but kind of near the gardens, because obviously their main job was to harvest the gardens.
And then you can see how the main house overlooks all of this. He would want to
Yeah.
be seeing the land he's acquired, so.
Yeah.
And then our final touch, Dr. Davis kind of recommended. You see the hedge sitting here. The koi group that just went, they're about another 200 blocks to the north of me. I think it's actually south, but
For those horses, fine fail.
so we put in a barricade, as you can see with the hedgerow from the water over. It could probably be a little more substantial, and then we put in a pillbox to protect ourselves. So if they come raiding, I can shoot them. But
It's somebody already.
it's yeah, Tim's having fun shooting at the house right now with the bow, so I can go in. And there's a tunnel leading into this, but for simplicity's sake, so I don't dizzy all of you, I'll cut a hole. So if I can get.
Now, when you had the idea of the pillbox, was that something that they would have had in 16?
Not as nice as I had made it. I had made it about 1800s looking at first, to
Okay.
about 1900s, and then I knocked it back down to wood. This is still probably a little too nice for what they would have had. It's a very crude structure, just something to get behind, basically, just so they weren't in the direct line of fire. Tim's standing there. If you press these buttons, they will shoot arrows. So Tim's shooting back at me right now, but yeah, that was just a little touch. Just it can be deleted. It was a little more for fun, but it was just to show that there was strife between the koi and the freeburgers, and like Trombley said, they were stealing sheep. So I've got to make sure my horses don't disappear at some point.
Right.
So
I think it's fantastic. It's really more elaborate than I ever could have possibly imagined. The only thing I would do is take a look at period stockades. You're going to look for a stockade.
you sent me that picture and I saw it. So I really need to. What it really needs to be is just a front wall,
Yeah.
and nothing else. Is how it needs to look. So.
But I think otherwise, this is a really stunning job. You guys did a fantastic job. So let's give them a hand.